What if you could literally shave years off your biological age? Not just, feel younger, but actually have a number, a metric, suggest it.
That's the dream for a lot of people, isn't it? Turning back the clock.
Exactly. Okay, so let's unpack this. We've received some, truly fascinating material from a listener, Audrius.
Audrius, right.
And he makes this incredible claim. He says he shaved a full 20 years off his biological age.
20 years, that's significant.
Right. And what's even more intriguing is how he says he did it. He apparently shifted from this really intense, almost relentless training schedule to a much more mindful kind of listening approach. And get this, his key fitness metric actually improved.
Wow. Okay, what's fascinating there is precisely that connection he's making.
Yeah.
You've got this very specific, measurable thing, a physiological marker tied together with a really holistic lifestyle transformation.
Right.
It genuinely challenges some of the conventional wisdom, about what fitness means, what aging looks like. It suggests maybe the path isn't just about pushing harder.
Our mission today, then, is to dive deep into Audrius's secret, as he puts it.
Let's do it.
We're going to explore exactly how he measures this supposed change, what these pretty radical lifestyle shifts actually involve, and ultimately what these insights might mean for you, the listener, on your own journey to feeling your best. So let's get into what Audrius is claiming first.
The big claim.
The big claim. He says he's shaved 20 years off his age. He presents a current biological age, somewhere between 21 and 27.
Very specific numbers.
Very specific. And naturally, the immediate question is, how on earth do you measure something like that?
Yeah, that's the first thing I'd ask.
His answer points to one metric, HRmax.
HRmax, maximum heart rate. Okay.
Yeah.
So HRmax, that's the highest number of beats per minute your heart can manage under, maximum stress. It's a really critical indicator for cardiovascular fitness capacity. Lots of athletes use it to figure out training zones, gauge heart health.
And the usual thinking is?
Well, traditionally, HRmax tends to be highest when we're younger, and then it gradually declines as we age. It's one of those expected changes.
Okay, and Audrius isn't just, guessing his numbers or using some basic fitness tracker. He seems pretty serious about the data.
So.
He specifically mentions using an Olympic-grade Polar H10 chest heart rate sensor, says he's been training with it for 5 years, and notes its accuracy.
Okay, so a reliable tool. That matters.
Definitely. And he defines his method for measuring it pretty clearly, too. He finds a hill, runs uphill for 1 minute, maintaining maximum effort.
Uphill sprint. Yeah, that'll do it.
He even adds, it feels like a lifetime at that intensity. Which, relatable if you've ever pushed that hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he's got a consistent method and a good tool. That helps with the reliability of his observation.
Exactly. So the meticulous approach seems key to his claims.
Right. But we need to add a little nuance here, I think. While HRmax is a solid indicator of cardiovascular fitness, and yeah, it typically declines with age, maybe about 1 beat per minute per year after 30, roughly.
Okay.
Translating that directly into a precise biological age, like 21 to 27. That's more Audrius's personal interpretation of the data.
Ah, okay. So it's not like there's a standard chart that says HRmax 193 equals age 25.
Not exactly, no. There are other much more complex ways scientists try to measure biological age, like looking at epigenetic clocks, DNA methylation, that kind of thing. They give a broader picture.
Gotcha.
However, what is genuinely remarkable is his observation of an increase in his HRmax.
Yeah, that's the bit that jumps out.
He reports it went from 192 BPM back in 2020 to 193 BPM now. That defies the usual age-related decline.
So it's going up, not down.
Precisely. And that suggests a significant positive adaptation in his cardiovascular function. It points to this amazing plasticity the body has, maybe, when given the right conditions. He literally says, this means he is slowly getting younger.
Okay. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, right, so what crazy, intense new training plan did he start?
That's the logical assumption, isn't it? More fitness equals more intense work.
But what Audrius reveals next is, it's really counterintuitive, honestly, a bit shocking. You'd think someone reversing age markers would be hitting it harder than ever.
Pushing every limit.
But Audrius says, and this is a direct quote, I do not train much. Yeah, he continues, I actually have slowed down completely beginning of July when I crashed the bike and fractured my skull a little bit.
Whoa, hang on. Fractured his skull.
Oh.
That's not minor.
Not at all. It's a serious incident.
And that was the turning point. That's surprising. It sounds like it became a catalyst for a completely different approach.
Exactly. He describes his previous routine as super high intensity, very demanding stuff.
Like what?
60-plus-kilometer rides, karate twice per week, running trails, marathons, ice bathing.
Wow, okay. That's a lot. Intense, almost punishing, you might say.
Yeah. Definitely. Now, contrast that with his current activities. It's much, much less strenuous.
Okay, what's he doing now?
He says 15-40 minutes of yoga, just 2 minutes of skipping rope, TRX training every other day, and some via ferrata once a week. You know, those protected climbing routes.
Yeah, with the ladders and cables. Still active, but different.
Very different. It's a huge reduction in both the overall amount of training and the intensity compared to before.
A profound shift. So less is apparently more in his case.
That's what he's suggesting. This is where it gets really intriguing for me. He claims he achieved the best shape of my life after he stopped pushing so relentlessly.
After the crash and the slowdown.
Yes. He says he moved from telling his body what to do, basically, dictating terms, pushing limits.
For command and control approach.
Right. To listening and hearing it out. From your perspective, what's the fundamental change happening there? How does that challenge our usual ideas about getting fitter?
That's a really powerful distinction he makes. Telling versus listening. This pivot from what sounds like an externally driven, must push harder mentality to an internally guided, what does my body need approach. That feels like the critical turning point.
So more about tuning in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A deeper attunement to his body's subtle signals, not just focusing on its peak capacity for exertion. It's about recognizing maybe when rest is genuinely needed or what kind of movement feels right that day.
Instead of just sticking to the plan no matter what.
Right. Rather than just rigidly adhering to a preset schedule or chasing external validation like faster times or longer distances all the time, it suggests sustainable progress might be less about constant grinding effort and more about intelligent, adaptive engagement with your body.
Okay, that concept, listening to your body, it sounds great. But let's be honest, for many of us, especially people driven by schedules or performance goals, it's easy to worry that listening just becomes an excuse to slack off, right? How do you tell the difference?
That's a very fair point.
Audrius even acknowledges this. He says, if you are not used to listening to internal voice, this may sound like gibberish to you.
He gets it.
So how does he cultivate this? He seems to ground it in mindfulness. He calls mindfulness the only true escape from madness. Strong words.
Strong words, yeah. And he's right, it can sound vague. But think about it like this. Listening could be as simple as noticing that little ache before it screams at you.
Okay.
Or recognizing genuine mental fatigue, even if your training plan says go hard today. It's tuning into those quieter signals instead of just overriding them because of some external rule or expectation.
Paying attention to the subtleties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this idea of mindfulness, it is gaining serious traction, even in unexpected places.
Audrius points out that some smartwatch makers, like Polar,
The same company whose sensor he uses?
Right. They're now actively promoting mindfulness in sports. They're even suggesting things like covering your brand new watch with your sleeve, silencing notifications completely, leaving your music at home, all just so you can have a truly mindful run.
Wow. That's quite an endorsement from a tech company telling you to ignore their tech for a bit.
Isn't it? It shows a real shift towards recognizing the importance of that internal connection, disconnecting from the constant data stream to just be present in the activity.
It's almost ironic. The tech designed to track us is now saying, hey, maybe unplug for a while.
A fascinating paradox.
Audrius actually describes what this feels like for him during his runs. He says, first you start noticing the environment.
Okay, becoming aware.
After a while, you start switching into sort of meditation state where you feel your legs moving, but your being is above it.
Oh, that flow state.
Exactly. He says for him, this happens after maybe 15, 20 kilometers of running at a conversational pace where he's relaxed, breathing easy. He's found his own kind of running meditation. So it really underscores that it's not just about the physical act, but the quality of that experience, the mental state during the activity.
Precisely. And it makes you wonder, right? What's the science behind this? How could this mental connection, this mindfulness, actually influence something tangible like heart rate?
Is there a connection?
Well, yeah. It's not just perception. Research in psychophysiology, the mind-body connection, shows that things like stress reduction and meditative states can positively impact the autonomic nervous system.
Okay, and that controls.
That system regulates things like heart rate, blood pressure, how well you recover. So by reducing the chronic stress that can sometimes come with really intense training.
Right, the push, push, push stress.
Exactly. And by cultivating a more relaxed, present state during activity, Audrius might actually be optimizing his body's ability to recover and adapt more efficiently. This could lead to improved cardiovascular function, like that higher HRmax he observed.
So the quality of the mental experience could directly influence the physical outcome.
It seems plausible. The mind and body aren't separate entities here.
It sounds like for Audrius, this mindful approach isn't just for his runs or workouts. It seems to be woven into his whole life.
Yeah, he states he's combined this know-how with my passion for nature and seeking for peace.
So how does that play out day to day? How does he bring that connection into his environment and choices?
Well, his choices really seem to reflect that philosophy. He makes a point of living out in the countryside.
Getting away from it all.
Seems like it.
Mm.
Away from noise, pollution, specifically next to mountains. It sounds like his environment isn't just a passive backdrop, but an active part of his well-being strategy.
Interesting.
He mentions having a small garden, and I love this analogy he uses for stress. He manages it, same as unwanted weeds, I just pull it out with roots.
Ah, I like that. Proactive, daily weeding almost.
Exactly. A proactive, regular engagement with his mental state. He sees his home as more than just a house. He calls it a sanctuary.
That really highlights how much our surroundings and how we interact with them can impact our health and peace of mind.
Absolutely. It's not just being in nature, but actively cultivating that connection, like with the garden, seems key to how he manages stress.
Okay, so environment, mindfulness. What about diet? That usually comes up in these
He
discussions.
did. He mentions avoiding meat. He prefers eco-bio-certified, clean-grown vegetables, fruits, grain, some fish, some eggs, and some goat cheese.
So a clean, whole foods focus.
Seems like it. He also says he consciously avoids gluten and sugar, but then he has this really crucial caveat, which I think is so powerful.
What's that?
He says, I found that stressing about not eating something is much worse than having that slice of pizza and enjoying it in full.
Wow, okay, that resonates.
Doesn't it? It's such a subtle but profound point about the psychology of eating. And it's actually backed by a growing field, nutritional psychology.
Really?
Yeah, the chronic stress that can come from super rigid dietary rules or the guilt we feel when we cheat.
Yeah.
That stress itself can trigger physiological responses.
Like cortisol.
Exactly, like increased cortisol. And in some ways, that stress response might be more detrimental to overall well-being than the occasional indulgence itself.
So the worry can be worse than the food.
Sometimes, yeah. It just highlights that critical interplay between our mind and our metabolism. The emotional context of eating matters just as much, sometimes more, than the precise nutritional content.
That's a potential game changer for anyone who's felt trapped by really strict diets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about finding a balance that feels good mentally as well as physically.
So beyond the diet and the environment, Audrius also emphasizes a broader change of mindset. Specifically, he talks about practicing staying present.
Living in the now.
Yeah, not getting lost in overthinking the past or worrying too much about the distant future because, as he puts it, we build our lives with the choices we do in the present.
Such a core tenet of mindfulness.
So bringing it all together, what does this mean for you, the listener? Audrius kind of distills his whole approach down to a few key things.
The takeaways.
Yeah, listening to your inner voice, reducing stress at work, eating what nature gives. They sound almost deceptively simple, don't they?
They do, but each one contains a lot. Listening to your inner voice isn't passive. It requires self-awareness, patience, practice.
Right.
Reducing stress at work. That means actively identifying what triggers your stress and then doing something about it. Setting boundaries, seeking support, maybe changing routines.
It's an active work.
Active work. And eating what nature gives implies that whole foods, minimally processed approach, but crucially, like you said, without the mental straitjacket of perfectionism. It's really a holistic ecosystem he's describing, where each principle supports the others. They work together to create this state of, maybe, harmony.
Harmony, yeah.
So this whole deep dive into Audrius's experience, it offers this really compelling personal story, doesn't it? It weaves together these measurable physical numbers.
Like the HRmax?
Right, with these significant lifestyle shifts and these profound mental changes he describes.
It's quite a package.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it suggests that age reversal, at least in his interpretation of it, isn't just about grinding out harder workouts. It's about a mindful, holistic way of living. Being in tune with your body, your mind, your environment.
You've hit on something really crucial there, that blend from his, frankly, surprising HRmax increase.
Which goes against the grain.
Totally. To his pivot from just relentlessly pushing limits to really deeply listening. Audrius presents this unique mix of measurable data and an almost, I don't know, spiritual connection to well-being.
Yeah, there's a depth to it.
It just makes you wonder, doesn't it, if something as major as a fractured skull can trigger this kind of mindful reevaluation, leading him to feel biologically younger.
Yeah.
What might just small, consistent acts of self-listening and being present do for the rest of us in our everyday lives? Without needing the bike crash, hopefully?
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But brings us to a really important point for you listening right now.
What's that?
In what ways are you currently telling your body what to do? Maybe driven by external pressures, old habits, expectations. And where, just maybe, could you begin to simply listen instead? Perhaps that secret to feeling younger or just feeling better is already inside you, just waiting for you to tune in.